The evolution of Gundam ASWG 35 Marchosias. Gundam Marchosias was the 35th of 72 Gundam frames that originated from the Calamity War 300 years ago. Marchosias has a grand appearance, being mainly white with sandstone highlights and gold highlights throughout also. A giant V-fin, 2 pairs of binders on its shoulders and hips, and it has been shown to wear a giant flowing red cape. In my opinion, I think this is one of the best designs in Iron-Blooded Orphans. It has a lot going on with its design, but it's still able to pull it off in a uniform way. Marchosias is the 35th demon in the Ars Godia, and is depicted as a grey wolf with griffin wings and a snake for a tail that can breathe fire. I feel like this depiction is very fitting in a spiritual sense because of the Gundam's abilities and purpose. It is unknown who the pilot of this Gundam was. We do know that they were extremely talented pilot because they were able to take out 2 giant Hariel mobile armors with ease, which is super impressive as the Marchosias is only the size of the blades of one of the Hariel's tendrils. One of the mobile armors would only be disabled and not destroyed and has literal PTSD of the Marchosias. This Gundam was developed to be able to fight mobile armors by itself for solo operations. It's shown to be extremely fast and able to bound great distances and blitz mobile armors, and that's thanks to some really awesome and unique weaponry. Large, long sword. The single-edged long sword is capable of cutting through nano-laminate armor, and when not in use is stored in a scabbard on Marchosius's back for quick use. This heavy scabbard doubles as storage as well as a weapon called the Bastard Mace, when combined with the sword, and is used for bashing and crushing as opposed to slicing. Short sword. Marchosias has 4 short swords that are stored in each of the 4 binders on its back and hips. They are just typical single-edged short swords, but they are mainly used in tandem with Marchosius's prominent feature, which is subarms that are stored in each of the 4 binders. They can each wield a short sword for a total of 4 short swords. These subarms can extend far beyond the Gundam's standard reach and provide an onslaught of attacks from multiple angles and directions, making it difficult to counter the overwhelming amount of attacks. It has a wrist-mounted shield on its left arm. It's a small defensive armament so as not to get in the way of the binders. Marchosias is mainly an offensive suit intended to overwhelm enemies with its offensive prowess and abilities. Knuckle guard. On the back of each forearm is a knuckle guard that ends in 2 golden spikes. They are intended for striking and scratching enemy units. Railguns. Marchosias is mainly a melee fighter, however it does have 1 ranged weapon. The side skirt binders have built-in railguns that can be fired hands-free. Now it is not known what happened to the Marchosias and its pilot, and both were thought to have been lost during the Calamity War. Until today, in the Radista colony near Venus, a Gundam frame mobile suit was being restored for many years. However, no one knows who brought it there or why. It was called the Hajiroboshi, which means Venus in old language. This was strange as it wasn't named after a demon and didn't follow the standard naming conventions of all other Gundam frames. Wistario Afam would eventually pilot this Gundam. His mother and father had died early in his childhood, and he had inherited the colony management company Afam Equipment. The company and Denmark Kitako Jr. were secretly maintaining the Hajiroboshi. This man was the caretaker of Wistario. Eventually, the colony would be attacked by mobile suits, and Wistario activated and piloted the Hajiroboshi and fought off the attack. The Hajiroboshi's first form is primarily white with sandstone and golden highlights. It has an interesting V-fin that has a 3rd fin that protrudes straight up. The Hajiroboshi has excellent maneuverability and was equipped with many lightweight armaments. Smart Mace. This well-balanced weapon is used for bashing enemies, and it was designed to minimize the effects of the mobile suit's movements. It's an easy weapon to use, especially for new pilots. When not in use, it is stored on the side of the waist. Crab Shield. This armament provides both defensive and offensive capabilities. Mounted on the wrist, this small shield can be used to block, but it also has another function that incorporates 2 hooks that shoot out and latch onto enemies, trapping them between pinchers. There's also a drill in the middle that can drill into the captured mobile suits. 110mm short-range rifle. This small rifle was easy to use, and as the name implies, it was short range. When not in use, it's stored on the waist. Wistario and the Hajiroboshi would eventually encounter a mobile armor, and in fact, it was the same Hariel that the Marchosias had given PTSD to 300 years ago. And when this happened, Hajiroboshi's limiter immediately turned off, and the sigil of another operating system appeared. It was the Marchosias's, meaning that the Hajiroboshi was the Marchosias. It was extremely hard to control because the Hajiroboshi did not have an Alea Vignana, but eventually Wistario and his comrades would defeat this mobile armor, but his Gundam had sustained major damages. Hajiroboshi's second form loses the big shoulder pads, and some changes were made to the chest plate, as well as having improved skirt boosters. When it was restored, they decided to lose the bulky and heavy shoulder armor so that it would become faster and more agile, while giving it heavier and stronger equipment. Armaments. Wire anchor. A pair of wire anchors were installed into the back that can launch out and anchor the Hajiroboshi to enemy units or different points of mobility. Cross mace. The length of this massive cross-shaped mace is taller than the Hajiroboshi is and is able to deliver destructive blows capable of crumbling even the thickest armor. It has 3 handles and a crossguard, which honestly kind of reminds me of a clunky Mihawk's sword. Smart claw shield. Because of the lack of armor, the Hajiroboshi's new shield is elongated to provide more coverage. It still has the claw function, which is now bigger. Wistario and the Hajiroboshi would encounter another Gundam known as Zagen, piloted by Lon Braun and was managed by the Isshu family. It was a black, heavily armored suit that had 2 shields that doubled as large pliers, used to grab and crush enemy units. The Zagen and the Hajiroboshi would have a brutal fight, tearing off pieces of each other's armors, and eventually Wistario would win the fight. They would also encounter another larger mobile armor known as Mabaya, a large floating type mobile armor that is orange and teal, bigger than all the previous mobile armors before this seen so far, and it has many tendrils and looks somewhat like a bug. While for now a lot of the story is still unknown, this October when the UrdrHunt movie comes to theaters in Japan, we will get to see the full story and truly understand the events that happen in UrdrHunt. And finally, Hajiroboshi's final variant, the Gundam Hajiroshi Electra. This form is a drastic change now, with an asymmetrical design with larger shoulder armor on the left side. Its V-fin is now larger and longer with red armor on it. Virtually all the armor has been upgraded from its feet, legs, and chest plate, everything. It's now a defensive powerhouse. This was a conversion plan that was drawn up by Denmar Kitako's Jr.'s grandfather before his death for a high defense Gundam intended for solo operations, having heavy armor and heavy weaponry to launch direct assaults on enemy fleets. Armaments. Electra Grand Cannon, a massive oversized 400mm rifle that is strong enough and sufficient enough to exchange fire with battleships. It is fired using explosive charges that burn up after each use. Stag Wire Hammer. This massive pair of shears is flipped when held, but when shot out with the wire attachment, it will crush enemies, attach to enemies. And if that wasn't destructive enough, there's a machine gun built in that will fire at point blank range into the captured enemy. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Be sure to look out for the UrdrHunt movie coming out in Japan in theaters in October with a North American release planned, but there's no info exactly when that will come out. Marchosius and the Hajiroboshi are easily some of my favorite Gundams in Iron-Blooded Orphans, and they are the Gundams that are featured in that show. So it's really excited. I've always seen clips of it on YouTube, and I've always seen the gameplay footage, so the fact that we're actually getting a movie with this is going to be sick. So anyways, thanks for watching the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.